Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. I want everybody to take a minute and think about something that you really want. It can be spiritual, it can be personal, material, whatever area you want to focus on. Think about something you really want. You got it? Okay. The next question is, what are you doing about it? Maybe you have this bucket you want to fill with a long list of adventures. Maybe it's something simple. You want to lose weight. You want to improve your relationships. You want to be able to retire one day. You want to write the next great American novel. What are you doing to achieve that? There's a saying, there's a thin line between love and hate. Now, I guess that's open to interpretation, but to me what that means is those two very divergent emotions are sometimes really closely knit together. Maybe it's, you can think of it in the relationship with your job. Maybe you have a job you really, really love, but there's aspects of it, maybe the paperwork, maybe the people you have to deal with that you kind of hate. And so while you really love your job, some days, maybe you kind of hate it. Similar to that thin line between love and hate, there's a thin line between two other similar words, between want and won't. That little tail there on the A, if you pull that off and make it an apostrophe, it changes a word full of hope and promise into a dead end. It changes a word that can mean something into a word that really is meaningless. We can dream of great things, have grand plans and hopes and ambitions, but we won't take the steps necessary to achieve those goals. Or maybe sometimes we give something a start, but then we don't take the steps, we won't move forward and finish what we started. Now, why is that? Is it because we're lazy? Is it because we don't know how to get started? Is it because we're afraid of taking on this big accomplishment, this big goal? I'd say there's elements of all of that, but the introspection really has to be, how badly do you want? If you don't want anything, if you want something but won't do anything about it, might I say that you don't want it badly enough? There's a saying, you make time for what's important. If it's important enough to us, we'll act. If it's not important, we probably won't. We can be a complainer in our lives, or we can be an initiator. We can want and do, or won't and not do. This is action, or it's inaction. Truly the core of our lives. What do you want from your relationships, both personal and with God? And what won't you do about it? What additional potential do we all have that we'll never achieve if you won't ever do anything about it? The future of your lives, your future success professionally, personally, spiritually, and this church hinges on those wants and whether you will or won't do anything about it. This reminds me of a saying I heard often from my mom growing up. When we would talk about wanting something, maybe wanting something bigger and grander than we should be wanting, she would say, you can want in one hand and spit in the other and see which gets full faster. Kind of accurate, and disgusting, but this Midwestern philosophy can be improved upon by some other areas of wisdom. If we look at Proverbs 13, verse 4, it says, the soul of a lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. Proverbs 6, verses 6 through 11 talks about the ant. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep? So shall your poverty come on like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. In all labor there is profit, but idle chatter leads only to poverty. Think about this poverty as those things that we want but don't have. Why? Well, as the wise writer tells us, it's because we're not doing anything about it. Ecclesiastes talks about this. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your might. If you want something, work hard at it. Why? For there is no work or device or knowledge or wisdom in the grave where you are going. There's going to be a time where what we want, which we're striving for, we certainly can't achieve when we can no longer work for it. From a spiritual perspective, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Things we want spiritually that we may think are too big, too grand, we don't know how, we don't know what to do. We'll get that strength if we truly want it and are willing to work for it. 2 Timothy says, be diligent to present yourselves approved to God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word. Be diligent. What does it take to be diligent? It takes doing something. Not wanting to do something, not wanting to have something, but actually doing. In Galatians 6 it says, and let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. We can't wait for God, expect God to do everything. He works through us in so many ways. We can want to help people. We can want to do good things. But what won't we do? It really boils down to life between these two words. All of us should wake up each day with something we want to achieve, both personally, physically, in this world, and spiritually. What you do or don't do is separated by that thin line between want and won't. So what's your life going to be? Is it going to be a life of complaining because you want and don't have, physically, spiritually, in whatever area of your life? Or is it going to be a life of initiation, a life of engagement, a life of action, working towards those grand things, working and doing? It's one or the other. That's your choice. You can want salvation. Don't let won't get in that way. If salvation is something you need, now's the opportunity. You can want the help of the church. You can want companionship. You can want prayers. Don't let the won't get in the way and sit there in your pew and refuse to let people know that you need help, that you want support, that you need their prayers. Whatever you have need of, now is the opportunity to let us all know as we stand and sing.